Hey everyone, welcome to Real Knowledge Club Longevity Podcast. Today, on this very auspicious day like Guru Purnima, we have one of the most extraordinary guests with us, one of the leading thought leaders in the world of like longevity, regenerative, like medicine and like human transformation, who is none other than fourth generation doctor who has studied both MBBS also and MBA as well, who is none other than Dr. Sangeeta Sahi. Dr. Sangeeta Sahi is an integrative medical doctor, longevity specialist, focus on regenerative medicine, cross-culture health, and a business mentor, creator of genuine human being process. And she has helped and transformed so many lives across the world in UK, India, USA. And her work integrates science, the forgotten wisdom, the universal principles, consciousness, and who is actually a high believer of like Ayurveda and all these things as well. And today you'll learn absolutely like the top 1% knowledge about like longevity. She has traveled across the world as a doctor, scientist, visionary, mentor, entrepreneur, and she is going to share with us absolutely like the best thing so that like you can live longer and make a world a better place to live. She is also the speaker panelist in India's biggest longevity summit, which is happening on 15th and 16th August. Without any further delay, let's pick the brain of Dr. Sangeeta, her wisdom. Make sure that you grab your notebook, notepad, and take maximum notes. And if you found this valuable, do share it with your friend. Let's empower more people. Dr. Sangeeta, welcome to the Real Knowledge Club Longevity Podcast.
Thank you so much, Akshay. And thank you for this beautiful opportunity on such an auspicious day of Guru Purnima. It's a real blessing and an honor to be facilitating and being a guest on your podcast today of all days. So
Absolutely.
thank you for your invitation.
It's absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking your super valuable time. And Dr. Sangeeta, today being like the Guru Purnima, what exactly is the importance of having a guru, and why today, what is its essence? Can you tell us about it?
Actually, it's really quite simple. A
Hmm.
guru is somebody who has got real, clear access to the source and somebody who's got genuine, real knowledge, not knowledge that just comes down through their own personal filters, but real knowledge directly from the source that they can then share with their students or followers. But it's real, true knowledge of truth, I would say. That is for me a guru, somebody who can share the knowledge of truth. And in that knowledge of truth are certain frequencies which then really connect into very deeper levels of our own being and create some sort of activations and realizations. And that is the difference between a teacher and a guru.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. I love that. I truly believe a guru is very, very important for everyone's life to go from darkness to like light. And today, being the Guru Purnima and the longevity, it is so important to have a teacher and like guru. And Dr. Sangeeta, I'm so curious to know about your journey, right? Tell us about your childhood. What inspired you to become a doctor? You being the fourth generation doctor, how did the journey begin on your quest to like longevity?
Actually, my journey is actually probably a different one. It's a unique one, I know. Um, as you rightly said, I come from four generations of doctors, and I want to just share a little bit about my great grandfather. He was a homeopathic doctor in pre partition India, United India, and he wrote 12 volumes of books on
Wow.
homeopathy, and they are still available in Lahore today. They're still published. And he also was handwriting newsletters for
Wow.
his community and really sharing knowledge about health, disease, life, lifestyle. And he was also making his own remedies and sharing them with his clients, with his patients, with his students. So that for me is like a real doctor, somebody who is a doctor, a healer, an educationist, as well as a creator of healing products and of treatments. He was a creator of treatments. So I think that's been deeply embedded in my DNA. One of the things that I will share with you is that my whole theme of my life has been the origin of disease. I was never very interested in the symptomatic relief. Akshay, I was always interested in the origin. Why do we have this? What triggers certain diseases? What triggers certain impulses that then go on and trigger diseases? So that motivation then led me to the origin of everything. And I didn't realize that that's what was going to happen. But then I went into, I when I was a teenager, I don't share this too much, but when I was a teenager, I was already having some very profound spiritual experiences. And I didn't really think too much of them, Akshay. I thought they were pretty normal. I grew up in London. My parents went to England. They're both doctors. They went to England when I was 3.5 years old. So I grew up in London, and I also had the good fortune to live in many different countries because after I finished medicine, one of the things that I saw in my final year was that many patients were coming to me. I wasn't even a consultant. I wasn't even a junior consultant. I was doing my clinical year, and they were coming to me, and I was a little bit confused and also a little bit uh, careful and cautious because there's a political atmosphere within our professions. And then they would say to me, no, we want to see you because something happens. We feel different. We feel like we start healing when we come and see you. And I was prescribing nothing. I was maybe prescribing vitamins at the most, or iron tablets, or, we did not have the authorization to prescribe anything, pharmaceuticals. So I wanted to understand. They were having these spontaneous healings. And I wanted to understand, what is this about? What is this? It was confusing. So after I finished medicine, I actually moved to the States and I started working with quantum physicists. And in the UK, I was working with biophysicists. And I really wanted to understand the sort of more scientific, left-brained um, data, I guess, an understanding of how does this happen? And at that time, I was very, very lucky because in the UK, one of the biophysicists I was working with, he was an authority in his field, and he had created a device, a technological device, which was real-time technology, Akshay. I want to clarify that, whereby we could see right inside the body. We could see the chakra system, we could see the
Wow. That's
meridians,
great.
and we could see the cells, and we were mapping cellular frequencies. And we were doing many experiments, which I can tell you about as we go into our discussion today.
Absolutely.
But that was my beginning, the origin of disease.
That's a great story, right? Like you were born in like UK, then you went to like US, and now you are back to like India, and you keep traveling around the world to do that impact of that. And what made you like choose MBBS also and MBA as well? Because I have seen very few doctors who have both the degrees, right? Many doctors they just read their MBBS or like do the MD and practice it, whereas you went on to even study like MBA business and uh, what it takes. for you to like read both the things?
It was actually, it was not strategic. Everything that I've done in my life has been very organic. It has been flow. I didn't think things out and say, okay, plan it. I want to do this, 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 and the other. So I did my medical degree. I worked in quantum physics and biophysics. I also, by that time, before I did my MBA, I had studied epigenetics. I had studied nutrigenomics. Epigenetics is the study of the environment and how it influences our genetic expression. And nutrigenomics is the study of nutrition and how that affects our genetic expression. And I'd also studied something called psychoneuroendocrinoimmunology, which is actually the whole mapping of the biochemical axis of how thoughts influence directly our nervous system, our endocrine system, and our immune system. And at the time that I decided to do my MBA, I was working with a doctor. He was based out of San Diego in California, and he was working on time reversal, cellular time reversal. So literally reversing time at the cellular level. Because, as I'm sure you're aware, our cells are constantly dividing and reproducing and recreating. And one of the things that we were looking at was the programming, the cellular programming, and how the cellular programming is affected and influenced, not just from the RNA and the epigenetic level, but also how that directly has an impact on the DNA, which carries the hardware programming of the cells and our physical body expression. So I was working with that doctor at the time, and he'd created a software program with another physicist, which using laser frequencies, you could actually delay and reverse, in certain cases, reverse time frequencies at the cellular level. And I wanted to be able to use that technology for skincare. I wanted to create my own line, and so that it would really reversal of aging. It wasn't just a marketing strategy of anti-aging, but it would actually work at the cellular level. And I did my MBA basically to get into the whole skincare industry and the longevity industry without realizing that that was what I was getting into. And that's my story of doing the MBA. It was something that was required as part of my journey, Akshay, or I felt it was required. And it was because it gave me an inroad into organizations and the blueprint of operations of organizations and what influence and impact working in organizations, whether as corporates or as entrepreneurs or in creativity, how that also impacts our thought processes, our lifestyle, and our health ultimately. So let's say it was one part of my journey of purpose, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit later.
That was epic. That was amazing. And Dr. Sangeeta, what exactly, if we come to like the basics, right? If you can tell us in a most simplest way, what exactly is this longevity, right? And there is so much of buzz around the world, right? Some people think, is it like even real? Is it like possible to like live 100, 150 years? And what is from your view?
Actually, that's a beautiful question. And I'm really glad that you've asked it and you've asked it in this way.
Yeah.
Because many people, they actually, and me included,
Hmm.
it's not a very it's now a very commercialized label.
Hmm.
And it can encompass many, many, many things.
Hmm.
But longevity from a scientific, or let's say even a psychological, philosophical, psychospiritual perspective, and this is what I really understood from my work and study of Ayurveda, because I've studied Ayurveda, I've studied traditional Chinese medicine. Um, it's again part of my all-round understanding of holistic systems, not just of our bodies individually, but also life systems and how our individual system interacts and interrelates with the whole life system. So, longevity in Ayurvedic terms actually means a high quality of life. And it means extending your lifespan through quality of life, not just through living longer.
Hmm.
So it's not just about the length of your life, because you can live now for a long time. You know, we have technology that allows us to do that. But we've got CRISPR, we've got gene mapping, we've got all sorts of things now available that may not have been there in those days. However, do we actually have a real quality of life? And what does quality of life actually really involve? What does it entail? And what is it that it's going to fulfill us? Because without that part of the equation, Akshay,
Hmm.
life longevity is incomplete. It's incomplete.
Absolutely. I love that. Like it's having like a bigger, massive transformative purpose, and having a purpose-driven life is more important, right? Than just like living longer.
Exactly.
Awesome. And from your experience, go with so much of technology advancing every single day, AI, longevity space, and if you were to share your thoughts, how can all the citizens of India and the world take responsibility of their health, and what tools they have to use in order to create a better and a greater quality of life for the individuals and for the families?
Oh, this is it's an easy question to answer, especially as you've specified India.
Yep.
Because especially I would say not just India, and I don't want to differentiate any
Yep.
culture,
Mm.
okay? Because I think that there's so much that the global North has that we may not have, and the global South has that the global North may not have. But one of the things that I know that is encoded within Asian cultures, it's just encoded within the land, within the DNA, within the culture, is um, is simple things: sleep, food, uh, relationships. You know, these are the simple things
Mm.
that if we just address because they're part of our life, everyday life, then they can make a huge impact on meaningfulness, on life quality, time quality, and also wealth quality, believe it or not.
Mhm.
Because a part of this whole concept of longevity for me has also been the study of wealth. And this is something where I think having an MBA helped a great deal because it got me into direct contact with very high net worth individuals, influencers, and people, you know, who really do influence and are icons for the world that we live in, and especially for our different generations that have come up after me. So I think it's simple. There's simple adjustments and simple awarenesses and actions that are already encoded within our cultures and civilizations that we need to reconnect with
Hmm.
and actually apply.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was amazing. I truly believe whatever you told, like good sleep, good food, like relationships, all these play a very, very important role. Now, when you told about like relationships, I remember nowadays everybody in the world are facing some or the other problem, and like relationships create like huge stress as well. How to overcome the stress, right? Because stress can also reduce the longevity.
Absolutely. And I think actually right now, relationships is probably the number one
Yeah.
cause of stress, of disease, of all of this together. So can you repeat your question? It's such a
Yeah.
huge topic.
Yeah. See, there is so much of toxicity nowadays in like relationships because of that lifespan is also like reducing. How can one overcome this stress, right? Like when building like greater relationships with their spouse, with their life partner, with their boss and everything. How should one actually go about in reducing the stress?
Okay. So one thing I will say that again, it's simple, but maybe not so easy to apply is don't take life too seriously. You
Yeah.
know, when you stop taking life too seriously, you actually create a little bit of distance between the situation and yourself. And that's the gap that we talk about in meditation. The pause, the gap between the thoughts, the gap between the emotions, the gap between the reactions. And if we can stop taking it seriously, means we bring in some humor, some lightness, some joy. So you spoke earlier about light and darkness.
Yeah.
So not taking it so seriously actually loosens the situation and creates the gap. And actually, I'll tell you something very interesting.
Mm.
That directly affects our DNA
Yes.
because it loosens the connections between our DNA and our RNA so that new information and data can come into the space. That's one thing I've learned in all my work. There is no difference between spiritual mechanisms and physical mechanisms. It's just that we haven't figured out, or mainstream science has not figured out the real interface and connections. And we are, except it's not the science that we've grown up with. This is a very different system of science and scientific validation, which I believe in very, very strongly because we've focused constantly on reductionist science. And that's what reductionist science does. It reduces everything. And that's not reality. That's not how our bodies function. It's not how life functions. And it's not how plants, animals, or anything functions. So it's actually a lie. Reductionist science is not true. So it's
Mm.
not the knowledge of truth. It's a system approach that we have created artificially.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. And when you were talking about like genetics and all, how much of longevity is determined by like genes? And imagine if my parents had like heart attack or like some disease or something, will that attack even the kid also? How should they go about in terms of like living?
Okay, so this is a very subjective question, Akshay, and
Hmm.
I'm not going to devalue it by giving you a generalized answer, but I
Hmm.
will tell you this is it's it has an influence. How powerful is that influence is individual because
Hmm.
it depends not just on what you are carrying and not just also on the reaction to it physically and genetically, but also your personality and how is your personality and how your personality will be one of the biggest drivers for your reactions and your behaviors. So when we talk about in say Ayurveda, they talk about prakriti,
Hmm.
your nature, your inner nature. That has a much bigger influence than just your genetics.
Absolutely. And what exactly is like epigenetic and like stem cells? I see like lot of longevity people talking about it, and if I see even like Brain Johnson doing something stem cell therapy, all these things, right? What is it all about?
Okay, it's very simple. Stem cells are your basic building blocks cells. Okay, so when a baby is conceived,
Hmm.
when the egg and the sperm come together, they create an embryo. That is the source of stem cells.
Hmm.
They are completely undifferentiated, unspecialized, pure, like, we say directly from the creator source.
Hmm.
That is stem cells.
Got it.
And they contain everything required for life.
Hmm.
That is stem cells. And then as they become differentiated, we have given those different stages of differentiation different labels. So then you have adult stem cells, which most of them are found in our bone marrow, in our fat cells, in our gut, in our blood. And then you have pluripotent cells, which we can actually grow and induce in a laboratory that can be synthetically produced as well.
Hmm.
So, but stem cells are basically the basic, undifferentiated, unspecialized building blocks of us. And they can be directed to repair cells that are damaged or that require help. They require support. So they can be directed to those different body parts, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, to repair and rejuvenate and replenish those original tissues.
Absolutely. That's great. It's like something which everyone are been born with, and we all have that thing. And it's like reading in depth is the key, right? And what exactly is like epigenetics, right? Like what exactly is it?
Okay, so epigenetics is again quite simple to understand.
Hmm.
It's you have your DNA, okay, your genetic material, which is in the center of each cell.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, around outside of the nucleus of the cell is all the signaling, all the matrix, all the data that is influencing the DNA. So, epigenetics is how environmental factors influence the DNA, how the epigenetics is a study of how genes are switched on and off without altering the original DNA code. That's important. Without altering the original DNA blueprint. So basically, epigenetics is this wonderful world in spiritual terms of perception. Because based on how we perceive the environment, which includes relationships, which includes belief systems, which includes food habits, which includes work, which includes everything in our lives, how is that going to trigger and create a response directed to our DNA that will then have an influence on our DNA, but will not alter the original blueprint, but will have an influence?
Hmm. Absolutely. That's amazing. I think these are all like the new things what is coming out, right? Like so that people can optimize and this thing. I also saw like recently people were telling about this epigenetic test where they can understand what is their biological age, like chronological age. Can you tell us what exactly is the test and how do they come to know about our chronological age and all these things?
Actually, epigenetic testing, yes, it tests, it can show you, okay, functionally and how your system is, your biological age is this. And then, of course, your chronological age is how old you are.
Hmm.
So your biological age may be 70, but you're actually 45 years old.
Hmm.
Or your biological age may be 25 and you're actually 45 years old. It works on all levels, all ranges. The value for me about epigenetic testing, and it is like a magic wand in a way, is that it can actually track and show you how your lifestyle is affecting your biological age. So, exercise, sleep, nutrition, all these things, they take up a lot of our time, our energy, our resources, and we do them because we're told, we're instructed that these are good things to do. But now we can actually track through epigenetic testing, are they really having an impact on our biological age? Or is it just, good advice, but it doesn't actually affect our biological parameters? So for me, that's the real beauty because it's such a huge motivational factor. Imagine that you have been exercising for X number of years, or imagine that you've been eating healthily and you've been following all the instructions. Now you want to see, okay, is it working?
Hmm.
And when you actually see some results and you say, wow, yes, it's working, it will make you want to continue and even up your game. So it's a very powerful motivator. I will share one other thing with you.
Hmm.
This is before epigenetic testing came out. I was working with live blood analysis. So I had patients and I was taking, with the finger prick, I was taking a little tiny drop of their blood,
Hmm.
putting it under the dark field microscope, and their blood, that little specimen of blood would come up on the computer screen or the TV screen. And people could actually see how much oxygen is in their blood, how much carbon dioxide is there. And you have no idea, Akshay, just with that tiny little piece of information, how many people stopped smoking?
Hmm.
How many people started exercising? How many people started cutting fats or sugars from their diets? It's very powerful and so simple.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. And Doctor, as you also have spent lot of time in like brain health and everything, nowadays lot of people like the Gen Zs and all, there is like brain fog, right? Which is happening mostly in India. People, even the cognitive strength, like remembrance strength also has been reduced a lot, right? How can we make sure that our brain is always active and retention of memories also increased as we age for the longevity?
Okay, so early on in my career, I did a lot of work on brain frequencies.
Mm,
Like I said, we worked on cellular frequencies, and obviously the cells are everywhere. So my one of my areas of big interest was brain frequencies. And again, because of quantum physics and the whole study of magnetic fields, um, our brains create their own magnetic field wherever we go.
mm,
And our aura, is an electromagnetic field in itself. So we carry that wherever we go. And also, we are influenced by other people's and environments' magnetic fields and life's magnetic fields. So, as far as brain is concerned, when we overthink and overanalyze, we have a whole mixture of alpha, beta, gamma, delta, theta brain frequencies going on at the same time.
mm,
That is an overload for our nervous system, Akshay. So, what happens? In order for our nervous system to protect itself, it filters out what it can to its maximum extent, and then it starts to shut down.
mm,
And part of that shutting down process for protection is what we experience as brain fog. So, as you mentioned, if you've got, and I don't want to generalize because I think it is different. It's like if you've got people who are constantly working with technology or they're constantly um, exposed to different data, which has different frequencies, which is running on different, platforms and all sorts of things, then the brain and nervous system at some point is going to say, stop,
mm,
time out. And brain fog is one of those mechanisms of timeout and protection. How do we clean it up? Very simple. The opposite. Calm down, disconnect, unplug,
mm.
sleep. Sleep is the most natural, the most powerful healing agent, but real sleep, not just lying down and still thinking, but actually calm, restful sleep.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. And also, obviously, the normal things, going to bed at the right time, waking up at the right time, um, eating at the right time of day, rather than eating just when it's convenient. All of these things make a difference.
Mm. Absolutely. It's like having a systematic, like a timetable in place and like sleeping on time, eating on time, right? And never try to multitask too many things at a time. Batch it out like one step at a time. And these all things, if we do, it's going to be good for our brain. Love that.
Akshay, I just want to mention here as well,
Mm,
as we all know, we have different parts of our brain. We
mm,
have our hind brain, our reptilian brain, which is much more mechanical. Then we have the limbic system, which generally is about emotions and sleep and all of this stuff. And then we have the frontal lobes and we have all the rest. Now, all of these work in a different way. And the idea is to actually balance and harmonize their functions.
Hmm.
And once we're able to do that, then we have a coherent working system. Ultimately, I will tell you, good health is about coherence. Coherence between our mind, our body, our brain, our heart, all our systems working in coherence. Not that they are all like absolutely perfectly balanced and harmonized. No, because we can't. We're too dynamic, and life is too dynamic. But coherence, yes.
Absolutely.
And one of the major important factors in coherence is communication.
Hmm.
If different parts of our body and system are not communicating with each other efficiently, we will experience illusions, misperceptions, and we will also get wrong, incorrect signaling, which will then create and trigger inappropriate enzyme production, inappropriate hormone production. And it's the same thing in our relationships. There's no difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. It should be in a right balance. Communication is the key, whether it is in relationship or like our body. If we do the right things, our body can communicate properly from our brain to all the parts of our body, and the enzymes, whatever it is, like the blood flow, everything will be like proper, and we can like live longer. So that. And Dr. Sangeeta, does breath work and meditation play an important role in like longevity?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And this is based on my research, not just on the research of others. There's no doubt about that. But I will tell you, most people do not know how to meditate
Hmm.
because relaxing is not meditation.
Hmm.
Meditation is something very different. Um, Relaxing, breath work, mindfulness, these are beautiful relaxation techniques which are valuable, but they are not meditation in the real sense of the word and technology. Meditation in itself is a technology.
Hmm.
And not many people actually know how to meditate, Akshay.
Yeah. How do you recommend, like, what is the right type of meditation and like breathing techniques or breath work which you'll recommend to everyone?
Again, like I said, in the genuine human being process that you mentioned, one of the things that I worked on was breath techniques, but they were based on the individuals. So some people like to work with sound and breath. Some people like to work with movement and breath. Some people like to work with counts, breath counts. Some people like to work with um, mantras and breath. So everybody is quite unique in the way. And, Akshay, if you know a little bit about meditational practices and techniques, there are thousands
Yeah.
of different breath works available. I don't know all of them. I know a few, and I've had some very, very good results and success with those few that I've used, which are related to actually more about integration of brain and heart,
Mhm.
because I think that is the fundamental integrative process. And once we're able to create that level of coherence, then we can go deeper. And that's when meditation really begins. Because on the superficial layer, you've got our frequencies, you've got our interactions with life. Meditation is the opposite. Meditation is actually unplugging from this life.
Hmm. Absolutely. That's profound. It can give the inner peace, the inner happiness, right? Outside, while we are waking up, running around the world, we are always looking for outside things. But real happiness is within, inside. And while we are meditating, we can feel that inner happiness. Love that. And Dr. Sangeeta, as you have done your MBBS and MBA, and then you also have this experience in like Ayurveda, my curious question is, was something like longevity taught in your MBBS syllabus? Is it being taught even till today? And like MBA, or like you had to like learn in some other courses or like programs about like living longer?
It had nothing to do with any of our courses, nothing. It was something that I learned through spirituality. And actually, like I said to you, I learned it more through the quantum physics.
Hmm.
And I learned it actually because I was so interested in time, the dimensions of time, and how our physical cells, interact with time. I was so interested in that I went deep into the processes of uh, extended lifespan, and from a biochemical cellular level, but also from I would say more of a philosophical and spiritual and psycho-spiritual level, which, as I said to you, also includes personalities and archetypes and so many parts of our system, which I connected up many, many dots, Akshay. I cannot even begin to tell you how many dots and different parts of our the system that we call the human being. How
Absolutely.
little we know about this thing that we are. We know so little about ourselves and
True.
our system and how we operate and what are the different levels of operation. So and also I will tell you, I was doing a lot of this work very organically and naturally, and then at some point I connected up with Sri Aurobindo's teachings and the mother's teachings. And some of your viewers may be aware of Sri Aurobindo and the mother,
It's
some
in
may not.
Pondicherry, right? Aurobindo Ashram in Tamil Nadu.
Yes, it's the headquarters. The original ashram is in Pondicherry, and then you also have the next level, the mother's establishment of Auroville
Hmm.
as a futuristic civilized community or whatever. It was another experiment that the mother did. Anyway, so when I connected with that work and those teachings, I realized that I'd been following exactly the same methodology, and I had not come across that. Like, I was not consciously following it, but I was unconsciously following it. And then when I came to it consciously and I started reading some of their work, I realized this is exactly how I had been conducting my experiments or my clinical practices. And I uh, I realized that Sri Aurobindo and the mother had mapped the different levels of consciousness that the human being is connected with. And that means at the cellular level,
Hmm.
especially. That was their groundbreaking work, was the supramental and the connection and the levels of consciousness that the human being is really connected with. And that then allowed me to understand consciously a little bit more of the work that I discovered. It put things into perspective. It gave what a lot of the stuff that I'd done an order, a systematized approach.
Hmm.
And that was a turning point for me as well. I just want to mention that because I had already done a lot of work with cancer. And that's where the cross-cultural work came in, because I was looking at diversity, cancer through the lens of diversity, through with different people from different cultures, different languages, different backgrounds, different socioeconomics, different food habits, lifestyles, etc., and collecting data, and then seeing and mapping that data way before anybody was talking about pattern recognition and AI, and looking at the different patterns, similar patterns that were emerging in these different individuals and social groups. And then through that mapping, I created a program called Conscious Cancer.
Wow, that's wonderful. Doctor, tell us about more about like cancer and why is it increasing so much globally, and what are the things one can do to like reverse cancer? Because I've heard since childhood, once someone goes to like stage 3 or stage 4, it's almost impossible to bring them back to life and they are going to die in some months or some years, right? Why cancer is considered one of the most deadliest, dangerous diseases in the world?
I think, well, cancer basically is when the natural division of cells, it goes out of control. So we all have, every single one of us has got cancerous cells, mutated cells in our bodies. Now, when that population of mutated cells goes beyond a certain level that our bodies and our immune systems can handle, then cancer comes up. But for me, cancer is not about the proliferation of mutated cells. It's more about the dysregulation, because that's where it begins. When the system is already dysregulated and out of order, it's in disorder. And therefore, when the cells, healthy cells, start dividing and they're mutating, and remember, Akshay, mutation is a normal evolutionary process. If our cells do not mutate, we cannot, as beings, evolve. And I don't just mean on a mental level, I mean on our immune system level.
Yep.
If our immune system is not exposed to unfamiliar, new external stimulants, then it cannot evolve. It cannot increase its archives and know how to manage newer diseases, newer organisms, etc. But when that regulation is missing, or it's dysfunctional, or it's damaged, or it's delayed, or it's blocked, there are many factors here for dysregulation, then the mutated cells have no control mechanism. They go out of control. And they start proliferating, they start creating absolute chaos in the body. And then the body, over time, cannot manage it. It's way out of control.
Yeah. And that's the reason they'd go and then do the chemotherapy or something, right? Where they try to stop this multiplication of cells. How can one actually avoid this cancer, right? Is there any precaution steps, as prevention is always better than cure?
Absolutely. And I think one of the things definitely is to control your own self. And I think that the one thing that most people can control or regulate, I wouldn't say control, it's a wrong word. I would say regulate, is their emotions. Because the emotions are connected up with our hormones and our endocrine system and our nervous system. So if we can actually regulate our emotions, we can also regulate our nervous system. And obviously, the nervous system and the endocrine system is directly connected up with our immune systems. So if we can regulate our emotions, we can regulate our immune systems. And if we can regulate our thoughts, this is one of the major steps in the Conscious Cancer Program, is thought regulation. If we can regulate our thoughts, we can also automatically regulate our emotions. And through that, we can start to regulate our biochemistry. And we regulate our biochemistry, Akshay, we start to regulate cellular processes.
Hmm.
And one of the ways that I think is, again, wonderful about some of the indigenous, I would say, I wouldn't say just Eastern or Global South, but indigenous practices is healing practices, because I've worked with indigenous tribes from all over the world. I've spent a lot of time working with grassroots communities, with plant-based medicines, with shamans, etc. If we can actually fast and fast from our thoughts and emotions, it has a profound effect on our systems. And it's been verified scientifically. Many people have been able to overcome cancer with fasting,
Hmm.
because fasting allows your system to calm down. So your system is in chaos. The first thing you need to do is calm it down and bring it to a space of peace, whereby you can start to instill new programs, new behavior patterns, new thought patterns, new emotional responses. So what happens is the cellular division comes back into regulation. And the more we do this, the more the healthy cells proliferate and dominate the mutated cells.
Hmm.
So as that population gets bigger and more dominant, the effect and the influence of the mutated cells loses its power and its efficiency and its influence. So toxins that the mutated cells are producing also get flushed out of our system. And that's one of the things, fasting with your mind and your speech, and fasting with food or liquid fast or whatever. This has to be done in a supervised manner. I'm not supporting or encouraging people to go out and fast without supervision at all. I'm very clear about that. But it definitely creates, again, it's that space, the gap between life and us, so that we can instill new patterns in that gap, in that pause.
Hmm.
And through that, I've done it with people, created a new body, literally created a new cellular architecture and a new body.
Absolutely. That's fantastic what you're doing at the Conscious Cancer program, which you have created and empowering so many lives. And you have created a very systematic approach, guiding the people exactly how to overcome cancer. That's a phenomenal work. That's amazing. And
Thank you. Thank you, Akshay.
yeah, and Dr. Sangeeta, what will be your advice for the people who are watching till now, the silver bullet, like Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule, right? They're always looking for some easy thing. What can I do so that now if I implement this, I can extend my lifespan by another 10 years, right? What are the biggest secrets or tips or like silver, golden nuggets you want to share?
I will tell you three things.
Yep.
One, eat less.
Hmm.
Two, move more. And three, sleep well.
Wow, this is so simple, but most people try to overcomplicate it, right? It's told simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, love that. And I'm genuinely curious about your human being processor, right? Like, what is that program all about, and what are you teaching over there?
Okay, so genuine human being process.
Hmm.
That's how I started. My website is genuinehumanbeing.com. It was certain patterns that I had, like I said, seen in all human beings who were neurodivergent, who were culturally divergent, who were lifestyle divergent, language divergent, etc. And what I saw was that there are certain very distinct and simple but very clear systems that are not coherent, not aligned. And once they come into alignment, it creates a whole new way of living life and engaging with life. It's like literally like enlightenment, but not just enlightenment in the mind, but enlightenment at the cellular level. That was my main objective, Akshay, is creating enlightenment at the cellular level.
Hmm.
Because theoretical enlightenment, meditational practices, they're fantastic. If you can go live in the Himalayas, or you can spend your life in an ashram, or you can be in a monastery, or whatever it is that is, you are separated from the world that we are exposed to and live in. But to create something, a process which you could do and use in your everyday life that would create real, daily, tangible impact and change. That was my goal and my objective. Because to me, it was like, you know what? If somebody comes to me and they don't see a change in their lives, then it's a waste of their time and my time. I'm not fulfilled unless I know that I've helped to make a change in somebody's life. Whether it's a small change, because small changes actually create huge shifts. Or whether it's they came to me and they needed one more trigger, one more little push, and it created a big, huge shift in their lives. Each one is just as valuable. So the genuine human being process is very individual specific and organization and group specific. It's based on the soul blueprint of that being when they interact and come to me. And then we work from wherever that being is or from wherever that organization is. And because I understood operations through my MBA program, I really understood how to work with organizations, whether they're corporate or entrepreneurial. So the genuine human being process, I would say, is so relevant now more than ever before because it focuses on values, which is what a lot of organizations now are moving towards. Value systems. They're not looking at degrees or they're looking at experience, but they're not looking at degrees. They're not looking just at skills. They're also now the differentiator is values. And not just values, but how are you actually going to implement those values into your teams, into your organizations? And how are you going to track the impact that those values actually have, whether it's on productivity or whether it's on health or whether it's on creativity? So this is the genuine human being process. Why? Because once you have that genuine value system, you can then use it and apply it in everything, because it's based on a universal system. It's the basis of that genuine human being process, Akshay, I want to really emphasize, is based on universal laws.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. I truly believe anyone who wants to go to like next level, you have to check out Dr. Sangeeta's website. That was amazing. And Dr. Sangeeta, for all the people who have watched till now in the Real Knowledge Club Longevity podcast, if somebody wants to join your team and work with you, what are the qualities like you see in a person? Do you see any college degree or like what are the values like you see in a person before hiring them into your team?
Actually, I have a foundation. I founded as well, Akshay, which I just want to mention here.
Hmm.
It's called Unified Human Foundation,
Wow.
and it's Unified Prakriti Foundation. And we support projects that unify human beings with nature. So in India with Prakriti. Again, this was based on a three-pillared approach, uh, related, because for me it was like I said, the origin of disease and longevity. If you do not go into cleaning the air or cleaning the water or waste management and recycling, how can you focus on longevity?
It is going to affect everyone. Hmm.
And everything,
Yep.
the air that you breathe, you, even if you walk out of your house and you jump into your air conditioned car, you can't avoid the environment,
Yep.
right? So I went back and I said, okay, how can we take this one step further? So the foundation works with innovation and technology for clean air, clean water, waste management, recycling, aquaculture. Our second pillar is health, nature-based health solutions. Why? Because nature has the structure. She has the natural code and the natural original formula based on universal law and universal order,
Hmm.
which our cells recognize and respond to. Okay? Number two. And also with that comes nutrition, lifestyle, and food security. The third platform is community and cultural regeneration. How do we take this application into communities and into cultures? Because each culture is unique, each microculture is unique, each microenvironment is unique. So in the UK, US, and in Australia, we are registered as Unified Human Foundation, and in India, we are Unified Prakriti Foundation. Now, I do a lot of mentorship with my volunteers, as well as I do my professional mentorship with entrepreneurs, etc., but with volunteers in Africa, volunteers in India, volunteers in the US. And the process is very, very much about values. It's about I look for three things. One is sincerity. Two is passion, genuine passion and enthusiasm. Third is commitment. If these three things are missing, it's very difficult to work long term with somebody, because not just with the foundation, but even with your health and your life, it's a long term process. It's not something that happens in the snap of the fingers. It's not. So
Absolutely.
sincerity has to be there, enthusiasm has to be there, commitment has to be there. And through those, we can create consistency and discipline. And
Absolutely.
then you're into a different realm of being.
Absolutely. I love that, right? Like sincerity, dedication, and that enthusiasm, curiosity is one of the most important things. And that's how one can build like great organization, great companies. And Dr. Sangeeta, I'm so happy to see that you are also the speaker at the India's biggest the longevity summit. I see like you are the panelist. Tell us about what are you speaking at the summit, and tell us also like many people in India are more focused on the um, sick care instead of healthcare. Why it is important to focus on the healthcare and like come to these big events which is happening for after like for the first time in India.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I'm very honored to be speaking uh, at the Longevity Summit. I think it's the first one
Yeah.
being hosted in India, and it's the biggest one. And I'm very, very grateful to the organizers and to Dr. Arpit Bansal and to everybody involved who's organized this and created it. It's beautiful. But if we go back to the basics of longevity, and say we go back to the, the principles of epigenetics. Epigenetics is affecting the software, the perceptions, and genetics is how to affect the hardware, the DNA. So with prevention, with health care, we're really talking about prevention. We are affecting the perception and the signaling of the cells outside the nucleus of the DNA. So that if the nucleus of the DNA gets healthy signaling, it knows how to overcome that disease
Mhm.
much better, more effectively than it gets unhealthy signaling. Okay, number one. Number two, also, when we focus on sick care, we must focus on healthcare at the same time. You
Yes.
cannot have this polarity. You have to do both. Therefore, I spoke about my great-grandfather. He was educating his patients as well as giving them remedies. We have to go back to being real doctors and real healers, not commercialized mechanical technicians. That's my greatest intention. Number one. Number two, sorry, three or four, whatever it is. Also, I want to share something really powerful with you and your listeners, Akshay. In ancient China, to become a physician, it took 20, 25 years.
Oh my God.
Yes. And every family, every noble family, or every wealthy, whatever family, had their own physician. And if anyone in that family got sick, the physician was fired. Because the job of the physician was to make sure that every member of the family was healthy, living in optimum lifestyle and optimum purpose. And if they were not, that physician was not able to do their job, they were fired. So it's the exact reversal of what we have today. Today, the physician, the health system, the food system, the environmental system is creating the disease so that we can create a laboratory. And basically, we human beings are guinea pigs for the pharmaceutical industry and for everything else, and the food industry in how our bodies react with all these products. So our mindset has to shift. And right now, the only thing we're at a turning point, which is great, is that we have to have both. We have to have sick care and healthcare at the same time. And hopefully, a little bit into the future, the healthcare will dominate over the sick care.
Yeah.
Just like our healthy cells dominate our mutated cells.
Yeah.
You get the patterns?
Absolutely. Love the analogy, right? When more healthy things happen, the unhealthy things slowly it goes away, right? If healthcare is not becoming bigger, sick care will be always bigger. We need a balance of both the things. Love that.
Exactly, exactly. And it's important. And we're at a turning point now.
Hmm.
And
So,
that's important. Plus, also, I think that I'll tell you, when I was studying medicine,
hmm.
all of this was thought of as pseudoscience because it was not reductionist science. It wasn't 2 + 2 = 4. Now, you cannot actually truly track whether it is sleep or lifestyle or food or what is the main thing that is affecting impact and change. But you can track that it is. So you can't reduce it. So my joy is that we are moving, however slowly, we're moving into a holistic model of living through health and longevity. And longevity for me is a great, great movement, global movement that can help us to move into this holistic sphere of mindset of life, individually, organizationally, systemically, and planetary.
Absolutely love that. I truly believe there should be like how you told in China, there was like one doctor in every family. His goal is like to make sure that everyone in the family is like healthy. If they don't, they're not healthy, they get fired, right? Like that. Similarly, every family in India, there should be at least one longevity enthusiast who will make sure that everybody is like living longer and like sharing the tips, the knowledge with them. Do you agree with it, Dr. Sangeeta?
I agree, Akshay, and I want to bring something else up about India here. Is
Hmm.
we have in our tradition and traditional cultures where every family has their guru,
Yep.
that they go to for knowledge, for advice, for guidance. And that is actually the role a physician played in the old days. They were like a guru because somebody who really had knowledge of the body, they also had knowledge of astrology. I mean, in Ayurveda, there is the knowledge of astrology, there is the knowledge of mental disease, mental health diseases, there is the knowledge of surgery, there is the knowledge of relationships, there is a knowledge of food, there is a knowledge of weather, climate, everything is given in Ayurveda. So
Hmm.
when you had a physician, they were gurus. Why do you think our lineages come from the gurus? Because this knowledge comes from truth and source. And our bodies come from that same origin. So our gurus were the guides. And we need to understand, and we come back to the initial thing of Guru Purnima today,
Yeah.
that the Guru must, it is his absolute, not duty, but dharmic and karmic responsibility to guide people with truth.
Absolutely. Love that, right? Following the Dharma and following the truth. Truth is the biggest religion in the world, right? If one follows like the truth, non-violence, helping someone to bring in a change, and having a guru can always help us to go in the right direction. They're like the GPS. If we don't have a guru teacher, we go wander here, there, everywhere, and we are going to waste our precious time, energy, and money and everything. Truly love that. And Dr. Sangeeta, now I'll be asking you like rapid round questions. Are you ready for it? Hmm.
Sure.
Okay. Health or wealth?
Both.
Okay. Meditation.
But
Hmm.
Without health, there is no wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe like when we are healthy, we have thousand different dreams. If we are not healthy, we just have one dream, how to become healthier. Second, meditation or exercise.
Both,
Third question, Ayurveda or like modern medicine.
both. Okay, one thing I will say about this,
Hmm.
modern medicine is incredible because without it, we cannot overcome acute illnesses,
Hmm.
surgery, acute illnesses. But Ayurveda and homeopathy and Unani and some of these other traditional indigenous systems, I would say, they are amazing for chronic degenerative diseases
Absolutely.
and longevity.
Yeah. Natural lifestyle, more from Ayurveda, we can take only like some problem like sick care or something, or some problem if you have like, we need like some fracture or like something. Modern medicines are more good for it, right? For the treatment. Health for
And technology as well, by the
Yep,
way.
yep, absolutely. All this longevity, all this equipments, red light therapy, and all these new things. So the modern medicine is good, whereas simple things is comes from Ayurveda, like the natural lifestyle, the sattvic lifestyle, and all these things. So that. And do you recommend any supplement one should actually take or no?
Definitely.
Okay.
But I will stress here good quality supplements because there's so much on the market. And I'm very, very particular about the supplements that I share or I prescribe. But there are certain things that I think are very essential. One is amino acids, especially for vegetarians. Look, actually, I will tell you what I tell a
Mm,
lot of my patients is that food and eating is for pleasure. And our beautiful senses, our indriyas, uh, our gateways to God, they need that pleasure of food. But the real nutrition comes from supplements and our herbs and our jari booties because our food just doesn't have it anymore. And we have to just accept that. And
mm,
it's beautiful as long as we can understand consciously that food is pleasure and it's required. Eating is pleasure, but nutrition is required, and that comes from other sources outside of our cooking and food. That's number one. So the supplements that I recommend are good quality supplements, and there are certain which are absolutely essential. If you're a vegetarian or vegan, amino acids are going to be essential. If you have obviously any sort of mineral issues, magnesium, and especially if for sleep, magnesium, potassium, all of these things are really important. And then energy, glutathione, glycine, CoQ10. And one of the ones that I will say people should take all the time is vitamin C. You can never get enough vitamin C. It's fantastic for your skin, for your hair, for your everything, because it's used in almost every functional pathway. And there are so many more, but there are certain which should be part of your everyday little laboratory, your little pharmacy at home. And it depends on what age you are. It depends on what your nutritional deficiencies are,
mm.
etc., etc. I won't go into it too much.
Love that. And Dr. Sangeeta, for vegetarians, what is the source of proteins? Because everyone tells you should take like lot of proteins, right? For non-vegetarians, they have more choices, like they can eat like chicken or like all these things.
I would say for me, the healthiest source is blue-green algae.
Hmm?
Blue-green algae.
Okay.
Spirulina,
Hmm.
chlorella, they're
Hmm.
very high in protein, and it's vegetable protein. It's derived from sea marine proteins. And they're very quickly and easily absorbed by our cells and our bodies. And they have very, very good antioxidant properties. So that really high in anti-inflammatories as well. That's one thing. And then the other thing, obviously, is things like tofu, soy products, our lentils, grains, the normal stuff that you can find. But the real stuff I think that is a little bit different is the blue-green algae and chlorella, spirulina. They're very high in good, really good quality proteins.
Absolutely. Love that. And then I saw a new trend is coming in the market, like peptides. What exactly is it? Is it like even really useful or not?
Well, I know I don't know too much. I will
Okay.
not lie, but I know enough to tell you that they work locally. That
Hmm.
is the beauty of peptides. They work locally. And there is a result. My question is, how long lasting is the result? And after a certain time, does it reverse? And how does it actually reprogram the cells? Because ultimately, we know with a lot of the natural therapies, we have a specific protocol. You take it for 3 months, it should reprogram your cells in those 3 months if you've used it correctly. And my also other issue with peptides is that they are very expensive.
Hmm.
So it's a question of, okay, if they really work, when are the prices going to come down so that we can actually track their efficacy through time and through numbers? Because
Absolutely.
that's the only way that we're going to get enough scientific validation.
Absolutely. Love that. And one habits that silently like shortens our life. What is it?
Overthinking.
Hmm. And what is that thing you stopped doing which tried to improve the health? Like what is that one thing everybody have to like stop doing?
Okay, so I have a background where I tend to take too much responsibility.
Hmm.
And it took me a long time. I always knew it, but to really change that behavior, modify it. It isn't changed completely, Akshay, but to modify it really took a long time. But when I started realizing that after a certain point, and especially the big turning point was COVID, um, I had to stop taking responsibility or take less and less and less. My body, I was feeling stressed all the time and on hyper alert all the time, whether it was related to my profession with my patients or whether it was related to my family members. My father passed away just a few months before COVID, and he was like the main pillar of our family. So, and then COVID came, and I had to really felt that I had to take responsibility for my mother, etc. So I went into big stress and cortisol. My cortisol levels were very high continuously. And I saw a big change in my body shape and functionality, etc. And then slowly, I had to relinquish that and let it go and just relax, and not take. It wasn't about overanalyzing or overthinking. It was more about responsibility. So I
Absolutely.
know that there are people who really take a lot of responsibility because they're conditioned or it's their nature, their personality. And they need to balance that out, especially when we're living in a time when we don't control very much. And
Absolutely.
we have to accept that whatever we do may not make that big change or that big difference.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing I would share.
Love that. And what are the top three books you'll recommend everyone to like read? Because most of the people are very much enthusiastic about like reading like a lot of books.
Okay, so I would say one of the books that I would recommend is The Art of War by
Hmm.
Sun Tzu. Why? Because actually, a lot of the mechanisms are also what happens in our own physical bodies
Hmm.
and how we treat and work with our own bodies. Second one is a book that's very dear to my heart. It's called The Knowledge Book, and it's written by one of the people that has had a great influence in my life on me. It's a lady called Mrs. Vedia Bulant Chorak, and she's Turkish. She lives in Istanbul. She's 103 years old now. And the book that she's written comes directly from truth consciousness and the source. And it's a real knowledge. So that has had an effect on me. And the third book, I would say, is the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita,
Wow.
because it's completely eternal and universal.
Yeah.
It's not something, right? It's a book for anybody and everybody in every profession, in every walk of life. And truly, maybe you can help me, Akshay.
Hmm.
Who really wrote the Bhagavad Gita? I know Ved Vyasa wrote the Ramayana, but did he also write the Gita?
Not sure. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody's sure who wrote the Gita.
Yeah. Absolutely. I truly believe like reading the books can give us like more wisdom about health, business, relationships, and everything as well. Like Bhagavad Gita. Love that.
I think also, I just want to share here a
Hmm.
little thing
Hmm.
that, don't think that philosophy is separate from real life. Philosophy and real life cellular mechanisms, they're very similar in how they operate.
Hmm.
That's why the mother and Sri Aurobindo could map out spiritual mechanisms with physical and psychological mechanisms.
That's fantastic. And Dr. Sangeeta, today being like Guru Purnima, who are the top three or top one gurus or teachers who inspired you the most in your life?
I've already mentioned her name. It's Mrs. Vaidya Bulanchorak.
Yeah.
And I, my absolute ultimate respect and love and true, genuine love to her and gratitude, of course, to her for who she is, what she's doing, and what she has done, and the fact that she decided to be embodied on this planet at this time.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. And Dr. Sangeeta, what is the advice you want to share for everyone till now? I believe the podcast went for around 90 minutes, right? And it was like fantastic. You have shared everything from your journey, like how you went to like UK to like US, then India, starting your conscious hub to like the foundation to like empowering so many lives. What is that one piece of advice you will tell everyone, right? To follow in order to make a world a better place to live, like uplift the humanity.
Oh my God, this is difficult because, when you said the question, there were like two or three things that popped into my head. But I will say one thing that I think if we can embody is take responsibility for yourself and your actions and your behaviors. Because you know what? Ultimately, it's you. You represent yourself and you represent your lineage. And be aware of that. Be aware, be conscious. And the more awareness that you have, the more I will tell you, the more automatically your behavior will change into a far more direction of light, direction of positivity, and direction of health, genuine health. Because when you get into that consciousness and life of self-responsibility, automatically your consciousness also starts to shift. And
Absolutely.
when your consciousness shifts, everything shifts.
Hmm. That's true. Love that. And finally, Dr. Sangeeta, what is the one advice you will tell to everyone who is just thinking on a fence? Should I attend the biggest longevity summit, learn from you and other spectacular speakers coming to like Mumbai? Because some are thinking, should I really invest so much or like I can just save the money? Why it is important for them to invest in themselves and come to the event?
Oh my goshness, because I think more than anything else, under one umbrella, under one roof, you've got so much which you may spend much more money on trying to, if you follow or you try to chase these different things in different places or different, not just countries, but even time is a very, very important resource, very valuable resource. So imagine that, okay, you're paying money, but you're going to get so much in this window of time in your life, and you have absolutely no idea who you're going to meet that could actually change your life. And sometimes I've seen it. I question, why am I going to this place? Blah, blah, blah. And I go, I spend my own money or whatever. And it was to meet one person. But that one person was so valuable. That's something we cannot evaluate through money or through anything, is you don't know what's in store for you. And that the universe knows. And the universe, I will share this with all of your listeners as well, and with the world. The universe knows you better than you know yourself. So if you are getting a real guidance to attend, and money is the only thing that stops you, but you can afford it, don't take a loan. Don't do any of that stuff. I will not support that. But if you can afford it, I would say go, because you don't know what
You know.
gifts
Yeah.
the universe may want to share with you.
Absolutely. There are like so many benefits, right? They can do all the biomarkers, they can understand more in depth, they can network with over 500 plus thought leaders, doctors, longevity enthusiasts. They can find their team member, business partner, or even like their life partner as well, right? And there are so many opportunities for one to explore, right? Do check
And
it
a
out.
lot of the speakers, like myself, we've come from international.
Hmm.
So for you to meet everybody in one space, that's also a huge value in itself.
Absolutely. And having that accountability partners, right? Someone who is thinking of like living for more than 100 years and all. It's actually difficult because if I tell someone in my place or like my cousin or like my friend, they are going to laugh at me if I tell them I want to live for 100 years. Whereas if we come to that event, everybody is like crazy, who is dreaming big, who has a bigger aspiration, who is more conscious about the health. You can get to like meet great people and like learn from like Dr. Sangeeta herself. You can ask questions and yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm really excited to meet you, Dr. Sangeeta, offline for the first time at the Mumbai. I'm grateful for the organizers and Shivashankaran sir, all these great people organizing this event. And so, Dr. Sangeeta, how you felt the overall like the podcast till now?
Oh, it's beautiful, Akshay. You're doing such a wonderful service to humanity, through sharing of this knowledge. And I love the name of your podcast, the Real Knowledge podcast. I love it. It's so aligned with how I work and what I do. So it's a natural fit as far as I'm concerned. And I congratulate you and I thank you for what you are doing. You are no less a teacher or a guru for the world, as we all are, because you're doing this. I mean, you're 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 the universe in action, you know? And that's what we really need to be, is the universe in action. Our existence is very valuable. I agree, Akshay. Whether we do something or we don't, just the fact that we exist is very valuable. But then add on another dimension where not only are you existing, but you're also in action, in alignment with the universe and time. How beautiful is that? So thank you, Akshay.
Thank you. It's some of the fantastic times to live in this world today. Like I'm here in Karnataka, KGF, you are in Delhi because of the online thing and the infrastructure, YouTube, we are able to share whatever we have learned. Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta, for sharing your wisdom with all of us. And thank you everyone for being here till now. It means like you are super enthusiastic about longevity, and do let us know what are your three biggest takeaway in the comment section. Do like the video so that the YouTube Baba is going to send this podcast to like more people. Share it with your friend, family members, so that they can learn more about like longevity, empower more people. And if you have any questions or something, you can also reach out to Dr. Sangeeta. Dr. Sangeeta, they can reach out to you on Instagram and like LinkedIn as well, right?
Yes, but mostly I would encourage everybody to go onto my website,
Hmm.
www.genuinehumanbeing.com, or even just my name, drsangeetasahi.com. But genuinehumanbeing.com is my website. Please go onto there, have a look, and you can reach out to me through the contact on the website, or you can reach out to me on Instagram under genuine_human being, or even my name, Dr. Sangeeta Sahi. And I also ask you to look at our foundation website if you're interested in some of the projects that we're doing and you'd like to contribute or volunteer. Please look at www.unifiedhuman.org. That's www.unifiedhuman.org. So thank you again, Akshay, and thank you all. And I so look forward to meeting you all at the Longevity Summit
Yep.
In Mumbai on the 15th and 16th of August next month at the Fairmont Hotel. So thank you once again, Akshay.
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta. And before I conclude, I just want to tell on this Guru Purnima, right? Like Guru from darkness to like light. And if you want to go from A to Z, right? And this longevity, like learning and experiencing this can actually like fast track your success with all the right knowledge, information. Like you must have learned so many great things in this podcast. Now imagine if you can get time to spend 2 days with so many experts, you'll go from zero to like hero. That's what I can assure you guys. With that being said, thank you so much everyone for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Bye bye. Namaste. See you all. Bye. Bye, doctor.